You're live.
All right, so welcome everybody to the gathering, and just want to encourage anyone, if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, you can go ahead and come on over to the Zoom, which is live, and you can do that through the website, which try not to put websites or links onto Facebook, because when we do, Facebook just throttles the heck out of it and it doesn't get out to hardly anybody. So anyway, I just put over there the website, gilhodgesfreedom.com. That would be where you'd want to go if you want to join us over on Zoom Live. So good to see everyone here. And I see Tanya from Germany, right? Is that correct?
Yes, Germany, and also I'm working in Mali, West Africa,
All
where we
right.
translate the Bible with my husband and I.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Love it, love it. Well, good to see everyone. I see a lot of people popping on here. So good to see all of you. I'm operating off my phone today. So we're going to have our discussion wrapped around the blog. Hope many of you got to see it. By the way, if you're not on my newsletter, I encourage you to get the newsletter. The newsletter goes out now every Friday, has the blog in it, has the information in it, has any upcoming stuff. Anyway, it's full of a lot of good things, and I'll be putting some extra kind of like Christmas deals in there coming up here soon. So yeah, definitely make sure you're on the newsletter. You can get on the newsletter by going to the website. There's one of the boxes there is for the newsletter. You can just sign up there and start receiving that. Also, it's on the website that you'd be able to make donations, help support the ministry, help support the Pearl and what we're doing there. I love what's coming together. You know, we're more and more and more, we're learning how to love deeper and without conditions. I mean, I'm so glad that God loves us without conditions. I mean, you just look around the entire world and we see people thriving in all kinds of different environments and cultures and religions, and he's not striking them down with lightning, you know. He loves us all, and that's the beauty of it. And anyway, one of the things that I shared in the blog was my view of God and where it used to be and where it is now. And so if you look in the chat section of the chat GPT, it's there. I didn't get it. I guess I could have put them over on Facebook, but I didn't get them there. However, if you join on the Zoom call, you'll see the questions. There's about 10 questions that just for discussion today, just things to think about, because your view of God is going to shape the way you believe. It's going to shape the way you live. It's going to shape the way you think, and it's going to literally deal with your emotions. A lot of people live with an extreme amount of anxiety and fear these days, whether it's from political or environmental. You've got all that, but then you throw on top of that religious fear, where God is this big ogre in the sky just waiting for you to mess up. And when you do, he's going to basically, um, if you don't measure up to his standards, you're going to burn in hell forever. So you got that thrown in on everything as well. Different religions have different teachings, but almost all of them have an element of fear if you want to take it to the extreme. So one of the things that we've recognized, and I think most everybody here has recognized, is that as we're growing in our relationship with God, that it comes to a place where we really begin to understand our oneness with him. Okay, we're not God, but if you're a child of God, then you are a God, and you're a fractal of him. You're a reflection of him. And but we come into this world, especially in the Christian environment, and different religions or different denominations are going to push it on you harder than others. But the idea that you come into this world separated from God, and that you have to earn your way into that place where you are with him and not against him. Even if it says something as little as saying the magic words of conversion, that you still have to do that. And if you don't do that, you're out and you're going to burn in hell forever. So it's moving away from a lot of that interpretation and beginning to understand the true essence of God. And the thing is, in meditation, which, I don't know if everybody knows, but Maxine was just sharing, and Dorette was there, that on the meditation time that we have every Sunday at 10:45, basically 10:45 to 11:15, we have a window of time dedicated to just entering into that space with God, where we can connect, and he can speak to us more clearly in those spaces. That's something that each and every one of you can do on your own at any time. The beauty of learning to meditate and go into that space is understanding that you could be in a grocery line somewhere, you could be driving down the road, you could be doing anything at any point. And ideally we get to a place where we're living in that connection day in and day out, every minute, every second. And that's kind of one of the directions that we want to just move toward, that we would be able to just live in that presence all the time. But too often we get sucked off into the past, we get sucked off into our future, we get worried and concerned about all that, when in reality, if you really are trusting God, there is no reason to worry about what took place in the past or what is about to happen in the future. You live in the moment and you trust that God's going to deliver you. Part of what came out in that meditation this morning is just the verses where Jesus is talking about the lilies of the field. They don't worry about what they're clothed with every day. The birds don't worry about what they're going to eat every day. No, they have what they need in that day. And the thing is, oftentimes, in fact, I would say probably all the time, if you don't have something that you think you need, then you probably really don't need it. Now, you may need it to accomplish what you think you want to accomplish, but do you really need to accomplish what you think you want to accomplish? And oftentimes we put these agendas on ourselves and these expectations on ourselves that are nothing more than part of the matrix of the world that it has put on us. Other people, family, schools, religions, society, all of them have their agenda for us. And we get caught up in trying to meet those agendas. And when we can't make it happen, we get stressed out, we get worried, we get concerned, because again, now we're not measuring up again. And it's all part of the matrix. And fear is one of the biggest things that is used to keep us locked into the world, the matrix. And Jesus said that he overcame the world, he overcame that matrix. And we have to overcome it in ourselves before we can actually begin overcoming it in the world, in the cosmos. But it is possible. Jesus showed us that it was possible. So anyway, what is your view of God? Now, I got those questions that I put down in the chat area, and I'll just share with you, I came from that place. Now, here's the interesting thing. I did kind of come from more of a heathenistic background. We didn't really go to church when I was a kid. So there was that element that as a kid, as a child, I didn't have a whole lot of connection with God. But think about those people who have zero connection with God. Their families never show them or teach them anything about God. They're taught that this world and our life that we're living is just what it is. And they're kept so busy that they really never get a chance to fathom or begin to question the existence, their own existence, let alone the existence of everything else. Because I almost guarantee you that any person of any culture, if they're just sitting by a fire quietly, listening, not distracted, that eventually somewhere along the line, those questions will begin to come up. Who am I? Why am I here? What's going on? Where am I going? These questions begin to surface. It's innate in our being. So they're going to surface, but again, in most cultures, you're kept so busy you don't have time to contemplate those questions. That's part of the matrix, keeping you so busy you don't have time to contemplate what's really going on. All you're doing is living by what you're told, and that again comes from family and culture and religion and jobs and you name it. All of it's fighting for your time and filling it with as much of whatever it has to offer you that it can. And you're not given the opportunity to contemplate and to connect with God. But when we do take that time, it is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to be able to connect. So my view of God kind of started in that arena where, I didn't have a really good connection with God at all. And then I went into a church system where I basically learned what that church wanted to teach me. And I had the separation concept of God, that until people do a certain thing, they cannot be connected to God and they will burn in hell forever, or they will just cease to exist. So that's a really stressful place to be. As my time went on, I got, you know, deeper and deeper into understanding who God is, and finally realizing that those scriptures that have been interpreted to make it feel like and look like that God is this mean ogre in the sky, just waiting to, for you to do something wrong, or either if you never do something right, if you don't say the magic words, that he's gonna burn you in hell forever. And it's like, what type of parent, you know, in whose mind would a parent really burn all of their children, billions and billions of their children, because they didn't line up and do exactly what they said? And especially when it's also kind of like, the idea of the tricky dicky God, that you got to look in just the right place in order to find him, and, say the right words and all that. It really is ridiculous when you begin to think about it. God's love is everywhere. God is love, and he is everywhere, and he is in you. He's in me. He's in everything around us. And, there's even been doctrines that have been created to make us fear the idea that he is really all around us. The idea of pantheism, that was a strict doctrine that I taught against, because it supposedly lowered God to this innate thing. It's like, no, you don't get it. When we surpass that and go to a place where we truly begin to understand that God is love, God is light, God is the energy and the fabric and the creation of the universe, and that we are a piece and part of that, and that we are a conscious part of that, that he has given this consciousness to in order to live in life and have this beautiful experience. And we get frustrated with time and space. We get frustrated with it sometimes because, we get older and the bodies kind of do some things we don't necessarily want them to do. Now, I know there's a preaching and a teaching on immortality of the body and everything like that. And, I don't want to get into that so much, but you look at the cycles of the universe, not just here on the planet, the cycles of the universe, even the stars and the galaxies. They use their energy, they go through their time lapse. There's a birth, there's a life, and there's a death, and then there's a rebirth. And that is a constant thing that's going on. But the energy, the fabric of God is still there. It never changes, never goes away. That's God. And for us to be able to begin to understand that we are a piece and a part of that, that we have been given this individual experience in this 3D world where time and space actually are happening, to where we're, otherwise everything happens all the time. Everything happens all the time. It's like there is no separation, there's no time. But we've been given this gift to actually live in time. But again, the Matrix has taught us to fear it. It's taught us to fear death. It's taught us to fear aging. It's taught us to fear all these things. And yet the entire world, everything goes through its cycles. And when we can learn to actually appreciate and have a love for what God is doing in this, the birth and the living and, the lives that we have, and then the death, and then knowing that there's a rebirth, knowing that we are actually a consciousness and a piece and a part of God that's going to continue on. And it's not the end. There is no end. There is no end. That's your immortality. There is no end. And it's beautiful to me to, begin to accept that and understand that God is everywhere, and that not only is he alive and well and has a consciousness of his own that is beyond our understanding, he is the consciousness of the universe, and that he is dwelling in us and having this experience with us. So it's just a beautiful concept that it really does tremendously release a lot of stress that we don't need to carry. And that when we come to that place of realizing these things, God is more beautiful than any religion could ever teach. No one religion can hold him in a box and say that they've got it all. But when we can come together and just realize every good thing is of God, that those are the things where, it's part of what I want to do at the Pearl. It's like, hey, bring your religions, bring the best of the best. I want the best of every religion that teaches that God is good and God is love. And let's share it, let's live it, let's be it. So, all right. I'm going to quiet down for a moment and interview. If you want to look down through those questions and want to jump into any of those other questions, you're welcome to. But I would love to hear your own experience of God.
I don't want to share right now. I just want to say that I loved your questions. I really did. They were very, very let's see. They were very complete. It covered I think what you're trying to convey. So I really enjoyed reading them.
Good.
I'll share later. I just want to listen right now.
All right. Well, no one else has got their hand up yet, as far as I can see. So, Larry, did you put your hand up?
No, but I'll chime in real quick. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got the questions right in front of me as well, and I agree. And I did do a little Google search real quick to see how many times that, in really different ways, that the Scripture, the Bible, has told us that we are one in Christ. And again, it has a lot to do with love, the language of love. Do you not know that you yourselves are God's temple and that God's Spirit dwells in you? That's 1 Corinthians. So again, this isn't non-biblical, right? And not that
right.
we've always gone kind of extra biblical in this group. But again, why does the church miss out so much? Because they really, in my opinion, just want to keep us in this separated place that because they go to maybe that one step too far where you're calling yourself a god. Well, maybe with a little g, right? And because I actually kind of do think we may be little g's, and that has to do with what you started your conversation out by saying that we are sons of God. That is in Hebrew the B'nai Elohim, and so we are truly sons of God. And with that, again, you were saying we have that piece in us that He gave us. He breathed it into us. I mean, that's a very much a biblical story, and I have changed my life completely by understanding more and more how much that I am His and He is mine, and that this separation is the lie from the pit of hell, so called, because and my wife she's the one who is just fixated on love, 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 and I really didn't have a lot of concept besides what the television tells me that love is, that it's this feeling, it's these emotions that I have to feel to know that I love someone. But when I start seeing that love has to do with so much more of who I am, this being that exuberates connection with others, who is built up by connecting with others. I think this connection part is a huge part of love. It's a huge part of the becoming one with the divine. So yeah, I'll stop there and see where we can go from there. Did we lose Gil?
Gil's, your mute is on.
Hey, that's funny, Deneen, because I was telling you your mute is on.
Oh, it was still
Yeah, I
on.
lost. I got kicked off for some reason, but I'm back on. So anyway, go ahead.
Well, I think the reason why I love your questions is because my response to each of your questions is in agreement to, I believe, what you're trying to convey here. And that is because I believe that until I became not just superficially conscious of or knowing about something and actually getting to know the true and living God, when I became more intimate, because I can't claim to know God in totality, but I become more intimate with God, I was able to I was able to understand what unity and oneness and love was really about. And I'm in pursuit of waking up more, because I don't believe that I was created to get it. I believe I was created, and along the way, I kind of lost sight of the reality of myself because of outside interference. And see, for me, when everybody says they, I want to know, who is this they we're talking about, right? They did this and they did that. What happened before? They lied to us. It was the lie. Well, the source of that, what is that? We call it different things according to our cultural experiences, but yet and still it's whatever it is, whatever we call it, it's in opposition to the truth. And the truth for me, of course I wrote about it, it makes us free, and I've become more liberated, which causes me to not have so much emotional imbalance, which causes me not to have biases and prejudices, which causes me not to wear my feelings on my sleeve and be easily offended. The more I become what I've been created to be, the less those other things have any type of leverage in my life. And even the parts that I don't understand are not even significant and important. It's like I'm okay with just being in my nowness, and smiling about it, right? Because really, sometimes when I just do things contrary to what the truth is, and what our creator has created us to be, it makes me chuckle, opposed to, I don't feel guilt, I don't feel shame, I don't feel like I need to define myself or explain myself. I just chuckle, because what I know is that I am a child of God, and I'm maturing into my understanding of the true reality of who I am. So sometimes it makes me laugh, only because instantaneously I see the difference, right? And I said, it's like, okay, and it makes me laugh that I would just choose anything but God, right? Anything but about other than God's way. When I find myself doing that, it just makes me laugh, because it really seems, kind of silly or ridiculous for me to choose anything outside of the perfect love of God. So,
Right.
I'm just going to stop there, because all of the questions and stuff, I would love to hear what other people have to say. All of the questions kind of resonated with me, because that's basically how I just live my day-to-day life. I don't think about talking about it as much until I have these kind of, audiences and this kind of group, when we get to share our experiences with this beautiful thing called life, right? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And even that, Danina, I'm just thinking, you know, I guess, this group here is pretty unique. And to me, it's pretty awesome. I find that most people would rather argue about text and manuscripts and who's right than to actually try to live a life where we're engaging with God at a whole other level. And it's just a unique group here. And it's powerful to me. It's like we're doing the work. We're not trying to argue about who's right over something. It's just like maybe we hear something that's odd and off the wall compared to what we're normally used to, but it's like maybe it resonates and you're like, I'm going to try that. And you find out if it works for you or not. To me, that's the beauty of having the freedom to experiment and to try new things. And we're all on a journey to connect with God and to be one, be one at a deeper level, be aware of our oneness at a deeper level. Let me say it that way.
Yeah,
That's the
I
truth.
agree. I agree. Because I think when we start arguing, it really demonstrates one of two things. It demonstrates that we are not as close or aware as we think we are, or our immaturity. Because really, the facets of God are too vast for us to think that someone else's experience is not right, and my one little limited experience is the whole thing. It's ridiculous, when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's actually just not even, it's not having the mind of Christ, so to speak, because I would really be more humble. That's for me. I become more humble the more I gain, the more I know there is to gain. So
Exactly. Yeah. So good. Well, thank you, Deneen. Nicholas, go ahead.
Hey there, everybody. I was
Hey.
looking at that question, what happens when love is no longer out there, but the very energy you're made of? And I guess in the last probably 3 or 4 years, I've shifted from the way I go about approaching God. And maybe before it was kind of like Gil was saying, the tricky dicky, where it's like, how do I get out there? Or even I think there's a Bible verse that says, he's not way out there, that you got to like go to the end of the ocean or go way out there, but he's within you all. And so it feels like that my approach to engage God has been kind of going through me, kind of like, Larry was saying, sounds blasphemous, sounds like you're saying, I'm God. But I don't know. Let's see if I can get this here. I was drawing this picture here. Well, get my finger on here. So here's me in the middle here. And then around it is other people like you guys. And then other around that is maybe just beings, whether it's angels or elementals or galactic stuff or whatever. And then outside, the bubble around everything is just God, the everything, the God bubble around everything. And so the way I'm engaging God, I don't know if that's, I guess that's kind of backwards on. I should put it on the other thing. Anyhow, it says me engaging God. If I kind of go through me, because I feel like inside of me is a universe, and it's also the direct, like Gil said, the fractal I am. So it's the perspective I hold. So sometimes when I'm in bed in the morning, I'll just hug myself. I say, I love you, Nicholas. And, and I think I see God through that, at least through my experience. And then I have a little line here, other people, like through Gil, Jeanette, the folks at the Pearl. And then through the experiences I have, whether I'm walking out in nature, then I see more of God, maybe going to that kind of pantheistic brush that Gil was talking about. But yeah, it seems almost alien to me now when I think of just like trying to pray out, or even terms like the him and the he and the father. They seem they're hard for me because they're like a little bit limiting. Like I'm just it almost seems to reinforce this patriarchal thing in my mind. But anyhow, just starting with the universe inside of myself, loving myself and loving others. And if I could contain God in my consciousness, the complete understanding, and maybe you can through meditation and through ceremony or things like that, and all of a sudden, boom, I saw God. That's great, but I think like Gil said too, no religion can capture the totality of God. So in one sense, I'm all things and I'm unlimited, but in another sense, I've kind of self-limited myself to a consciousness level that yesterday I was thinking about it, just saying, hey, it's okay to be within the boundaries of my conscious level. Or like when Gil and I are talking about how far we can push altruism versus transactional relationships, like, well, we got to make money and we got to do this and we got to do these things, but man, wouldn't it be awesome if? And so I've consigned myself to thinking, well, figure out what the boundaries are, try to live within them, what you can handle, and then always keep pushing your intention. Like, well, what if society bent, and what if we bent the matrix a little bit more and got a little bit outside of those bounds? So in the same way, if I just say, oh, I'm going to reach God, then maybe there's some meditative practice where I can really hit God. But I do kind of just realize from the fractal from which I'm looking out of, these eyeballs from Nicholas Sargent, it's okay if I don't quite hit that mark. It might be that I get a lot of good data about what it's like to live like me, a male, the age I am, the place I live, the background I have, etc. The people I'm around, like Jeanette over here. Hey, Jeanette. And then Gil and other folks. And maybe the other aspect would just be my higher self, the idea that beyond others and beings and God, there's kind of maybe like other dimensions of myself. And I think at some point we all bleed into each other anyhow in another perspective, but the dualistic side of me sees me and you guys as two separate things, and then the cognitive part of me realizes that we're all one on some level, and sometimes we hit that meditatively. So those are some thoughts on what happens when love is no longer out there, but the very energy you're made of.
Love it. Love it. Thank you, Nicholas. I love your perspectives. They're always opening things up a little further, I think, for each one of us. I love it. Thank you. Thank you. All right, Maxine, go ahead.
Well, first of all, what Nicholas shared, to me, it looked like a smiley face, and he had me and God, but I mean, it kind of looked like there was a smiley face. That's how they were interjecting. But
Yeah.
this morning I was talking to God, and I asked him, I said, can't you reveal yourself to me? I said, I know that Jesus, you look like Jesus and Jesus looks like you, and I've seen Jesus and all this stuff. And then I just drifted off somewhere. Well, this was when I saw the vision with the wall of clay with all those rubies on it. And then afterwards I thought, God was showing me him.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And Maxine, I would just add to that, that even as you were speaking, I'm thinking, but Maxine, God's revealing himself in you and through you. It's like you could just look at yourself. Each one of us can look at ourselves and just say, oh, wow, God is revealing himself in this realm, in this way, in a Gil way, in a Maxine way, in a Deneen way, in a Lacey way, and all of us. That he's revealing himself. And it's like the key is for us to be able to be free of the matrix, the world, in order to be free to express who God wants to express himself through you, through me. And that we would be free to do that. And if we're free to do that in a beautiful, loving way, it's going to be good. I know there are people out there, my thing, rise without end, live without limits. A lot of people think of that and they think, crazy, horrible things, whatever, that are not intended for that. And it's like, I'm going to let them, because if that's where their mind is at, they're not ready for what we're doing here anyway. But the truth is, if it's God in you coming out, it's going to be good. It's going to be beautiful. And we should be able to be free to express whatever it is that's in us that wants to be expressed, and not feel limited. You can't do that. You can't say that. Because if we're really opening up to who God is in us, there's going to be something beautiful come out. I guarantee it. Thank you, Maxine. And you're beautiful. I just want to say that. You're beautiful. And God is revealing himself in you and through you. And just to even fathom that for a little bit, just focus on that for a little bit. It's like, wait a minute. I want to see God in me. And just to meditate on that and just sit with it, the beauty of it.
You're beautiful too, Gil.
Thank you. All right. Well, thank you, Maxine. Deneen, go ahead.
Yeah, Maxine, you and I shared the color red is our favorite color. And you had this dream about rubies, and rubies, ruby itself is a representation of heart and love and passion and emotional balance. And it's red is the root chakra, and it's protection and confidence and power and energy and vitality. And who does that sound like? It sounds like God. So as people come up against us about us being God, no, we're not the one who created all things, but we are definitely created in God's image. And so when you were talking, it made me think about that, because we do share that color. Of course, I've already looked up what our color means. So it made me think about it. And when Gil made the statement that he made about it being you being integrated with God, I said, yeah, how about that? Because she's always seeing things in red, right? So God is constantly expressing to you who you are, right? You and I, the red girls.
That's good. Love it. Love that. And, I kind of just want to come back to that for a second. Actually spending time and sitting with God, revealing himself to the world through you and in you, and accepting that you are an aspect of God that is coming forth. And I think, even as, I was just contemplating that even more. I believe, that is one of the things that is missing. You've heard me say over and over, the key, it begins with understanding and learning to love yourself well. And that is what you're doing if you're sitting and contemplating the beauty of God in you and how he's revealing his beauty in you and through you. It's like we want to skip that. We've been told and taught to skip that. But when we can just sit with that and just realize I'm an aspect, I'm a fractal of God, and I'm freaking beautiful. I'm just amazing. And to spend time focusing on that and to understand that the garbage that has come along, that's been trauma and whatever, thrown on you from the world. And, it's just like, okay, just let that be washed away. Let me focus on what is really, truly inside of me. And that trauma, whatever it was, hey, thank it, because it brought something even more beautiful out in you and me and all of us. It brought something else out. And again, if we can just look at it from that perspective, that this is God in me, and God just had this horrible thing happen to him, through me. But now I get to transmute it into something even more beautiful, because that's just what God does. That's just what he does. He turns everything into good. So anyway, I love that. John, go ahead.
Yeah, talking about union with God and what is God. Like God says in Genesis, it says that God created, let us make man in our image and our likeness. So he created us with similar characteristics, similar ways of looking at things, similar ways of acting and performing as he is. Yet we are, I don't want to use the word, we're separate beings. Like the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, they're not just, they're one, but they're, like I've heard people, I've met the Holy Spirit, I've met Jesus, and I've met the Father. They've had face-to-face communion with all three in separate occasions. And when we were created, God decided, like he wanted to express himself through Black people, through Caucasian Chinese, and in that group, each group, they're all a different fractal, if you like, a different piece or image of God. It's like kind of like when I create something, I create a cabin, I make a cabin, I put rockwork on my house. I'm expressing myself, something that came from within me.
That's
that
good.
I saw. It's the cabin out there. It's a separate being from me, but I'm not the cabinet. The cabinet's not me.
I
And
like
the
that.
same thing is, I'm not God, and God's not me. But yet we are we are in union. We are one with each other. In that, I came from God, but God didn't come from me. There's a difference. And I think that's where in the past, where people expressed, well, like Jesus said, you are God. He wasn't saying that you are me. He wasn't saying you are the Father, you are the Holy Spirit. He said you are similar beings as we are.
Yeah.
We created you that way.
Yeah.
That's what the
And John,
word Elohim means, is
yeah.
sons of God, really.
Yeah. And I like that, John. The thing that, for me, I've always felt like, not always, but I've come to this place where, the energy of the universe, that's God. I mean, it's like there's nothing that exists outside of him. And so I'm in him. And I love the way you described that, you creating, the barn, or, the rock wall, that is you expressing yourself through that. And now now it sits there separate from you. And yet it's all the same energy. And that's, to me, the beauty of it, that we have this Holy Spirit, Christ consciousness, that is everything, that knows everything. And it's like,
Mhm.
I don't know everything, but you know what? I'm in the one who does know everything. So do I have access to everything that is known? Yes, as maybe I wake up, and or as he sees fit to give me some of that understanding. Because I'm not him, so therefore, I'm not going to be able to have all that necessarily access to me at one time. But I think it's the Buddhist, or maybe it's Rumi. I can't remember now who says it, but and I'm pretty sure most of you have heard it. But it's the idea of, that we're a drop of the ocean. We're a drop out of the ocean. And yet, when you drop that drop back into the ocean, can you really find that one drop anymore? So it's like, in the consciousness of the universe, he has created this space. And here it is. It's time and space, 3D realm, that allows us to be, you to be confined energy, me to be confined energy. But the confined energy is a consciousness of God, a piece and a part, which is, to me, absolutely amazing and beautiful. But he's the whole. I'm not the whole. I'm simply a fractal. I'm a piece. I'm a part. So, but I love the way you explained it. That's really good.
Yeah. Like there is only one infinity. God is infinite.
Yeah.
So my infinity is based on his. My infinite part of me is based on his infinity.
Yeah.
But I'm not infinite outside of him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if God has made us that way, there's nothing that can be added to me, and there's nothing that can be taken away from me.
Yeah.
Because he made me complete in his image and likeness. So I have access to everything that he has access to. Because we are heirs of God, and we're joint heirs with Christ. So that to me means I have access to everything that Jesus had access to when he was walking on the earth, and even what he has access to now.
So this is the thing. I mean, John, you were part of a group where we were, I think we call it the Mysteries of Love group, that,
Yes.
We just wanted to go deeper and deeper into love and try to understand and what does it feel like when you go past that wall where, I've had enough of this group. They're not talking about what I want to talk about anymore. Well, what happens if you go past that and you stay with the group? What happens when you go past the interactions that kind of clash? What happens, when we get past all that? And, to me, I've always felt, and I still stand with this, that what's important is love. That until we master love, whatever that means or looks like, until we master it, we won't have access to the fullness of everything that is out there for us to have access to.
Right.
Because if we did, it's just like, Jesus had the full access. Jesus had the full power, and he could say a word and it was done. And for me to have that kind of power to where I could just say a word and it was done, I'm telling you, I would destroy a lot of things right now, because I still have my moments where I get a little frustrated and I say some things that I probably shouldn't say. So I don't, but to me, the focus for, the focus for humanity should be that we would learn to love. And that's why I've created, the Pearl and even this group. It's like, for us to learn to love is the main thing. And there are so many distractions out there, chasing after whatever, that we miss the mark of just what does it mean to focus on learning how to love.
Yeah. Love is definitely the most powerful weapon in the universe. Like, I've been reading Yoganandi's book, Love and Romance. And he shares a story about Mahatma Gandhi in there. When he was in South Africa, someone stabbed him. And the authorities wanted him to charge this guy. He refused to charge him. He says, no, I'm going to win him over with love. And that's exactly what he did. This fellow became his disciple because he saw something that was more powerful than a sword stabbing him, because he refused to charge him, and this fellow became his disciple.
and that's it.
That's an example of what Jesus said. If somebody hits you on the cheek, turn them, tell them, hit the other one too if you like. And that's basically what he did. He refused to judge him by what he did to him. And that was probably what set the other man free, so that he could receive love.
Yeah.
And become love as well. And become love, just like Mahatma Gandhi was.
And to me, that's just a human example of what God is going to do with each and every human being.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter how evil, mean, nasty, unloved you've ever felt, that, and how much someone hates God, that God is not going to turn around and say, well, that was a whole man-made thing. Man-made thing. Well, if you don't do what God wants you to do, we're going to just create this doctrine where you burn in hell. It's not even in the Bible. But, so God is going to win because his love never fails. So it's unending. It's beautiful. I love it. Thank you, John. Beautiful. All right, Nicholas.
Hey, again. So you had a question on there. How does life change when you realize you are not separate from God? And so the thing that changed for me, and this happened at a particular time, and I'll blame Larry Housel later, but it's don't wait for God to save you. Don't wait for him to save you. Don't wait for him to do it for you. And don't wait for him. The kind of shadow side of this is don't wait for him to take the blame for you. So like when things go bad, you say, well, God disappointed me, didn't come through. God, where are you? But make choices. So Gil, you have the book on choice. And so make choices. And yesterday, my son called me, and he was facing a choice with a lease agreement, whether to stay or whether to go to a new place. And I didn't really know, I didn't see a clear path of which one seemed better to me. And I just, I was trying to, as a parent, you're trying to offer some wisdom. But the best wisdom I gave him was, I don't know, and you don't know right now, but you'll probably just feel empowered when you make a choice and go in a direction, and you'll get wisdom afterward, or you'll get wisdom before, and you're not doomed, because even if you make quote unquote the wrong choice and you find yourself in a whole nother set of circumstances, Gil, we find ourselves in this quite often, don't we? We go down paths here at the Pearl, and we're like, oh shoot, I think we painted ourselves. Hold on, let's try again. And Gil's real creative, so he's always like, He's always asking the Father and trying to figure out ways that we can do things better and better. So he's a real creative guy, kind of fun to brainstorm with him. But we find and make the next choice and be like, all right, what's the next choice? But with him, I was like, make choices. You'll feel empowered as you go forward. The area that I blame Larry. Larry, this is funny, but I was over visiting your house one time, and we, you know, in my spiritual journey, there's been like 3 or 4 major game changers of revelation, of whether it was in 2010 with this book I read called New Life for the End, Red Wine for the End Time, or something like that. It was Divine Wine, I forget what it was, but it was like, can you get saved after you die? And another one was E.L. Fudge, I think, Dr. Fudge in the 70s, talking about hell versus Sheol and not burning in hell and all that. And there's a movie associated with it. And then this guy, Jonathan, someone on the Mythbusters, who was on Gil's show back 5 years ago, was talking about the preterist view and about Book of Revelation kind of depicting the first 70 years of 70 AD. And whether you believe in preterist view or not, Larry lent me this book and I read it, and it kind of led me in that direction. And I had the same feeling that Jonathan's wife, I forget what her name is, but she's like, Jesus is not coming back on a white horse to save me. And now some of you might believe, well, you know, it's still, yeah, I believe that prophecy. He's going to come back on the white horse. And so not taking that away from you. For me, it was like, okay, I don't believe it that same way. So then it was like, what do I do now that I'm, in a sense, separate from God, or not separate, but just like he's not coming to get me, or it's not like I'm just not waiting around for the rapture. And so I'm going to live my life in the meantime, and I'm going to make choices. And now when it comes to having wisdom before and after, it's like if we can get clear in our vessel, in our head, and let God through, then we can tap into our higher self, maybe others' perspectives, and I can hear what Jeanette's wisdom is or Gil's wisdom is. I can maybe tap into the Akashic connections or the energy field around me and the collective wisdom of our collective consciousness, soul families, things like that, intuition, so that I can make not necessarily the right decision, but among the decisions in front of me, in a multiplicity of good and not so good choices, I say, what's the highest path that I want to take right now? Where's my heart leading, so that I can take it and then evaluate? And yesterday I was having an experience where I was just thinking of life. I do a lot of dream work. So in a night, I'll go from dream scene to dream scene. I was telling Gil yesterday, I said, you know, in like one night, I might be in 4 different places, on a planet, in some other country or whatever, in dream world. And so I think if I bring that into waking life, it's like living each decision dream by dream. All of a sudden you find yourself with a certain set of people, with a certain decision, or what am I going to do next on my to-do list? And you can walk through it. And I think Gil was talking about at one point, maybe talking with one of you guys about doing everything in love. So that was the other takeaway yesterday. I had this thought of just be present, be focused where you're at. What dream scene are you on? And just walk it focused and in love, and deal with it in love. And then, you know, it'll move on to the next dream scene. You know, make the next set of choices and keep going. So how does life change when we realize we are not separate, when we're not separate from God? Okay, so I have not separate from God or not separate from God. Just make choices in love, focus on where you're at in the present, get clear in your head. You're not doomed if you make the wrong decision, but just recalculate. And what was it, Gil, you say, recalibrate or something like that. Course correct, I think you use that term.
Yeah.
Keep going and enjoy your life.
Right, exactly. You know, that's a beautiful, beautiful thing to realize when you understand that you are not separate from God. You're not going to burn in hell. None of that's ever going to happen. When you come to that realization, but you also realize your responsibility for the choices you make, it to me, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It's like, okay, I can't really go so wrong that I'm going to go to hell. And now, do my choices have consequences? Absolutely, 100%. But you get to learn from those. And even though it may be extremely painful, you're going to learn. God will use it for your good. And you will get to grow. And to me, the biggest thing is in every choice, what's the choice of love? You know, what is the choice that I can make right now that is going to display the greatest amount of love? When I'm doing that, I'm learning and I'm growing in love. And eventually, ideally, I get to the place where every choice I ever make, you know, this is the ideal, okay? This is a Jesus move, but I get to the place where every choice I ever make is always in love. And I believe at that point, then the universe can say, okay, Gil, here's the keys to the kingdom. Now you have all power and authority. You have full access to all my knowledge and wisdom. I kind of think that's what Jesus did, because he didn't come here with an advantage over us. And yet he reached that place in that space where he was able to raise himself from the dead. So, I mean, imagine that, having that ability and just knowing that, oh, nothing really, there's no restrictions. Because if you understand all things, there's no restrictions. It's beautiful. It's powerful. But I don't believe any one of us will ever get those keys to the kingdom, so to speak, unless or until every choice we make has become habitually one made from love. So that's why I'm always like, let go of the distractions, everybody. You know, stop chasing the little things, you know, well, I say little things, but stop chasing the signs, wonders, and miracles, because those are not where it's at. Where it's at is in love. And if we master love, signs, wonders, and miracles will follow you everywhere you go, because you'll be the one in that place, in that position of mastering love and having that power and authority, because the keys of the kingdom have been given to you because you're walking in love constantly, 100% of the time. And it melts me, man. It does. It just melts me to think that I just want to live in love. And it's, you know, the deeper you get into it, the less you're motivated to do it for the power. The deeper you get into love, the less you're motivated to do it for power. You want to do it because you love. So, Deneen, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to respond to something you said a couple people ago and a few paragraphs ago. And and that was when you were talking, you were addressing John Weens, and you were saying about a group that you guys were in together, and you talked about a particular characteristic that comes out in people, like whenever people think that their consciousness has been raised to this elevated state, then they decide that they no longer need that group and they want to go someplace else. And so people continuously do that. And my response to that is that if your consciousness is raised, then give what God has given you to that group that you think is beneath you, you know, opposed to taking your ball and running because you need to go to another place. What it indicates to me is that you're not in this consciousness place that you think that you are, because when you are there, then you want to give the love, right? And if God is truly given this revelation, whatever you think you have to you, then you have been placed there purposely in order to share it with the minions that you have, you know, that you have decided other people were, so that they can raise their consciousness where you think yours is, you know.
I love that. I love that, Deneen. I love it. You know, and just real quick on that, you know, that's why I believe family, the nuclear family, or just the family. I mean, we're family here. Family is so important because, you know, if we're a true family, we grow together through thick and thin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's not one event that would separate us forevermore. We've ideally grown to a place in love to where, you know, if an event took place, a disagreement, which again, you know, disagreements are less and less and less when you're walking in love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, but that's it. That's all I wanted to say about that. But I thought that was so funny when you brought that up. I was like, yeah, all of us have experienced that people get to a place of thinking that they no longer are able to be fed there, or be able to receive there, because these people just, you know, are not where I am, wherever we think that is. You know, I'm talking about ego gone haywire, right?
Yeah.
It's like, where's the love in that?
Yeah. You know, and I've known group leaders that have been very strict in telling everybody, you cannot, you cannot go to listen to anybody else or do anything else. I mean, I've seen that so much. And to me it's quite ridiculous for someone to try to exert that kind of control over other people. But at the same time, I'm 100% convinced that everything you need to know is already within you or around you in God. And, and I've said this many times, it's like, I hardly read other books. I hardly listen to other YouTube things or anything else because it's like if God wants me to know something, he'll bring it through a download.
He
Yeah.
will, definitely. I know it is a fact. It's been my life's journey.
Yeah.
I'm the things that I write about, that I talk about and things like that. It's not because I watched it somewhere or heard someone else say it. I hear people saying some of the same things I say. And what I don't do is think, oh, they're saying what I'm saying. They took my thoughts. What I say is look at God and how universal he is, because he told somebody else the same thing he told me. So it really, it just increases my faith, and it strengthens me, and it causes me to have a smile on my face that we're actually thinking the same way and hearing the same
affirmation.
thing. Yeah. It's affirmation.
Affirmation that
not
what I am
something to
getting
massage my ego, right?
No. It's affirmation that what you're getting from the cosmos, what you're getting is truly from the cosmos, because he's given it to others too. It's like, cool. All right, I'm on the right track. I'm not off on some
It's
wild.
exciting. I think
really
one of the things I like about here is, opposed to some of the places that I've been, is because I've experienced so much competition, so much jealousy. People want to, when I start talking, they want to just go wash dishes or hang up or go someplace else, because they actually, because of the way that their consciousness is, they actually believe that I am ego tripping. And really, I'm just excited about what God has given me. And if you're operating on the vibration of love, then you'll see that for me. You won't think that because I'm so chatty that I just want to hear myself talk. You won't think that, I think I know more than other people, because as God is my witness, that is not even a inkling of what I'm thinking when I'm doing this. I'm just so excited about what has been given to me, right? And I just want to give it away. It's like I give it away in talk. I give it away in intangible things, because I know that's some people's language. I give it away in whatever way God directs me to give it to whoever I'm dealing with, because everybody's love language is different. But I am convinced beyond a shadow of a doubt that I have this energy from God that is causing me to, all I want to do is just give, and not just outwardly. I give inwardly. I take in because I want to hear and I want to receive from you. If you give me a gift of word or a gift of some type of tangible thing, I am excited about all of it, because the more you give me, the more I have to give, because you're giving from the divine place. So to me, it's just a continuation. It's always sowing and reaping, sowing and reap. It is never ending. And that's just the way I think. And I didn't try to think like that. It just is innate. It's like something that just happened along this journey, and I don't even know when it happened or how it happened. And I can't give you a formula. It just is. But it is refreshing to be amongst people that can accept Deneen. The God version of Deneen.
I love it. And and the thing is, there's going to, and I think we're all experiencing this too, to one degree or another. It's like you can be as humble as you possibly can be, and yet because you are growing and going in this direction of understanding who you are, it doesn't sit well with a lot of other people, and it will be challenging for them. And it doesn't matter how, what you do, it's going to offend them. But the thing to do is continue on that path, because for those of us on the path, there really is no other choice. And I don't want to say it that way. There's always a choice, but the fact is, we know that the choice we're going to make is going to continue, the journey. And everybody's going to make it. Everybody's going to make it. Everyone's going to get there. And it's just, everyone's on a different path and on a different times, so we just got to let them do their thing their way as well. And And again, the other thing too, it's like there's no pride in receiving all this, download, because any single one of us can receive it. Every single one of us. And every single one of us are probably receiving different stuff. It's all there. It's all there. But it is beautiful when I say the affirmation. It's just beautiful to see. It's like, oh, wow, God's delivering it there. This is a message for this time, because I got it, that person got it, and we get it independently of one another. That's why I'm a firm believer that when we are all connected with God, we won't need a leader to lead us, because the cosmos itself is the one bringing us all together and leading us. And that's what's beautiful. Love that. Thank you, Deneen. Larry and Debbie, go ahead.
Yeah, as Deneen said there, I think I'm going to go back a couple chapters, but you had made a comment about for power's sake is what I took from it. And when we're basing our decisions and lifestyles based on, rank and privilege and the next thing to move up the ladder per se, I think we get to the place when we're finally living out of the proper dynamics is that kind of stuff has no value. And what does have value is the things we do out of love. And that's absolutely something that you do very well, Gil, with this group and the people that I have now become friends with through this group, that it's just an honor and a privilege to enjoy each other, right? We have these different groups throughout the week that we all get together with. And that is so powerful for Debbie and I, because because of our lifestyle situations, Zoom really is our family. And we go out a little bit. We're able to spend some time with some different people at times. But because so much of our life is actually dealt with by Zoom, so many, and you all know who you are, the ones that come to our different things at different times. You're family. You are truly family. We just sent, my daughter got married this fall, and we just sent out some cards to a handful of people that I wanted to honor as our friends. If you didn't get one, please, you're not my friend. It's just that there's a handful of people that you have that kind of intimate relationship with that you felt, they would appreciate having a little postcard of my daughter's wedding, a couple pictures of her wedding. And so I just wanted to encourage the idea of living from a place of seeking after power for power's sake. It goes away when we're living out of this place of love. And going back to the topic of today, there's there's a God of love that completely has transformed me from what I used to do and think.
Yeah. And speaking on that, Larry, it's as if, it's like when everyone transitions from this body to whatever's next, I think there's a very, I don't want to say it's not a rude awakening, but there's going to be an awakening on the other side to realize all the power, all the money, all the whatever was worthless. It's worthless in the next realm. And we don't know that for 100%, but I'm assuming that that's going to be the case. And it's just like when love really is our foundation, we get that message way before we ever have to transition. And it's a beautiful message to get, because it really does reprioritize your life. And I'm
when we're living out of this abundance place, you're right. The stuff that we believe we're acquiring here is there is a place that you need to have for security or for survival. But again, I think that's this came up with, I'm not sure how I started thinking of it this morning, but what if just the idea that we need to consume as much as we do, right? For many of us, we're overweight, right? We have, but you hear about these extraordinary situations where, someone lives on very little, if not nothing, right? There's a person in Africa I've watched a video on that supposedly she doesn't eat or drink or anything, and she just exists by this, flow of God that lives in her. But even to that, we don't have to get to that extreme. But what if we have been so focused on gaining enough for survival, when honestly, we don't need any of that. If we're actually living out of love, he would regulate our body temperatures. He would regulate our this dwelling that we're here. I believe we truly do have everything we need within us to sustain this vessel. And I think we've gotten so far away from that because there's a they out there, Deneen, by the way. I know I do agree with you. You can't always be constantly fighting this they out there when there's not really a group of people that we're constantly fighting. But I think it goes back to what Nicholas uses a lot, the consciousness, right? There is a collective consciousness in whether we participate in it or don't. There is a collectiveness aspect of who we are, that we will do things because we know it's a little bit easier or it's a little bit better path if I go along with the group, right? And we just went all through COVID. That was an experience that a lot of us did the things that we did. Looking back, and it's like, well, really, why was I led to do that? Sometimes it was just so I could keep my job, or I could, whatever. I don't want to make any judgments on anybody either, but yep. And I'm done. Thank you.
It's all good. And I love that, Larry. And part of what you're, to me, touching on is the egregores that we feed energy into, and we keep those things alive. Political egregores, financial egregores, family egregores. They exist on the levels of 2 and on up, and well, even in our own mind, we create our belief systems, right? So we're giving energy to things, whether they existed before or not. We create them with our conscious thought, and there you go. You now have a thing because you thought it. It's.
I'm trying to. Nicholas mentioned this. Sometimes, I lost the thought. I'll leave it alone. Lacey, I see your hand up. I'm gonna stop.
All right, Lacey, go ahead.
Well, if it comes back, please share it. I just wanted to touch on something you just said, Larry, about that it's in us. Maybe not even having to sweat, not having to, like, it's already there. Something God is always on with me. God always is telling me, like, Anidia power is in you. Anidia power is in you. Anidia means the ability, if I remember correctly, to not have to eat or drink or do certain things for a certain amount of time, or like you just don't have to have it in the natural realm because it's already provided, already sustained within you. Just kind of what we've been talking about, that what I love what Nicholas mentioned. I really resonate with what everyone's saying because it feels like home, that it just, I don't even have words to describe it, but like we are the expression within, and I think all around, of God, and that unique, I think you said fractal, and it's beautiful because we get to breathe God in and out. We are that breath of God. We get to just express, we get to be the joy, be the fun, and can just create and have fun and play with the Creator living in us as the expression. And I just love everything shared here because it just really speaks to me and feels like home. And I really resonate with that in my spirit, that we get like that family, the love, like that's us. Like we're all one, we're all united. And I love that. So I just love getting to just feel that from everyone and everyone's expression. So, yep.
Love that. Thank you, Lacey. I love the fact that we are a family here, and everybody on here is. I see one that's 172. I don't know who that is, but for the most part, everyone that's on here has been a part of this for years at this point, and that we've just grown into this core group. And Lacey, you're the newest one, and other than 172, but I don't know who 172 is right now. But you're welcome, 172. Anyway, just an environment where we are free to share our hearts, our thoughts, our concepts, knowing that each one of us carry a fractal of God, and that we have the freedom to share our thoughts You know, and again, I've always said, you know, I would probably draw the line, you know, being, you know, the leader of the Pearl and here, but you know, I'd probably draw the line at where something's physically dangerous, harmful, or emotionally, physically dangerous, harmful, and anybody who knows me knows that I'm pretty open. So you know, there's a lot of things that some people might consider dangerous, or you know, one way or another. But it's just recognizing that we have freedom, and that you are an autonomous fractal piece and part of the divine, and you have just as much right to share your heart and thoughts as anyone else, and that you would be free to do that here. So I think Larry remembered. Go ahead, Larry.
Yes, that's exactly right. You mentioned Nicholas's name, and he appeared. So it was about when he was saying father, son. Sometimes that puts him into that patriarchal mindset. So you try to look at father as something else, and I very much resonate with that. I've looked at this the whole divine idea and divine light, kind of breaking away from a physical, personal picture, right? The father sitting on a throne with a beard, you know, those stuff that again, there's nothing wrong with it, and because there's a purpose for us seeing things like that at times. But when we're trying to find these, we'll say the hidden meaning or the deeper meaning of it, I find it helpful, I'll put it that way, to begin to break away some of the older pictures. Because again, I'm actually very much video oriented, picture oriented. I see things, I see words. I don't. I'll just go there. But and again, now I forget where it was. I saw that, but I think the consciousness. That was what I was going to tie it in with. Seeing that the Bible really is talking a lot about our consciousness and our level of rising in our consciousness and collective consciousness, because I do think that speaks a little bit more of this oneness that we're trying to understand. Again, even collective consciousness is probably a pretty old concept of an idea, but if it's new to me, it's new to me, right? And so some of these things that the other religions have, you know, had a language for a very long time, it's a new language for me, and I'm trying to integrate it into my Christianity. I'm also trying to again, I think Deneen will probably be one of the first ones. I think you're the one don't like deconstruction. Is that if I remember right? But anyways, we have to deconstruct some of the thoughts and mindsets and stuff out of Christianity. But you have to be building something, right? If you're living in a place where you're constantly destroying, I don't think we learn to go any higher with it. But yeah, that's all I had to.
Yeah. Well, and then, you know, what I'm doing with the book, Breaking Your Matrix, is we're basically deconstructing everything for a moment. And deconstructing is just a matter of letting something go, just being able to let a construct go for enough time to at least consider other options in that arena, whatever it might be. And the thing is, most of the time we are really just you know, living out somebody else's life or some society's expectations on us. And so to be able to be free and to let some of that go long enough to just question it. Doesn't mean you have to throw it away, but question it, make it yours. Because when you question it, you're actually, you know, giving yourself the ability to understand, why do I believe this? Why have I accepted this? So anyway, Durrett, and then I think Ute, I think is number 172. So she had her hand up. We'll have her share in a minute. Go ahead, Durrett.
Okay, and I want to say Deneen has her hand up too, just in case you don't see it.
Yes, yeah, 172 Ute, I'm going to say that, had her hand up, and I want to make sure we'll give her a chance.
Absolutely.
Oh, she says it was a mistake. Okay.
I was going to say I'm not that long. I'm just, there's something I've been musing about I'm always slow with my reactions. That's why I usually end up in the afternoon, because that's when I finally have put together what I've been thinking about. Anyway, so I was thinking still about us, as God having expressing Himself through me, and I was thinking, well, how does that work with addictions, with things where I am actually not acting according to who I truly am? And so, and I was like, okay, how does it help in that case to think about God being in me and I'm being an expression of God? I mean, it could also lead again to guilt feelings of like, well, I'm not expressing God very well. And so, but I was like, well, but of course I can also ask Him with His power to now help me with that addiction. And so I'm slightly separating myself, I think, at that point, but at the same time, still knowing at least He's super close. And but then I was like, well, it's also helpful in that case to remember that everybody around me has God in them as well. And I think that's where it really becomes freeing because first of all, I can ask for help. And also, I don't have to just ask Christians or like-minded people for help. And it might actually be good to ask perhaps for help from somebody who thinks differently because they are carrying a different aspect of God's nature. And obviously, I need something more. And so I think, so yeah, so coming back a little bit, like I feel like, okay, so I have the ability to not act like according to God's nature and according to my own nature. And maybe those are pretty close, almost the same. But me can act differently. And I'm kind of wondering like, okay, where's that exactly coming from? And then the other side of it is, but I'm not carrying everything of God. So we need each other to get more of His greatness. Like I'm not carrying everything of His nature because I'm not infinite.
I like that. And that to me is another thing at the Pearl that, I look forward to and I look at is that, as more people come, more people that are having a different expression of God will come. And I'm trusting that the right people will come that are needed for whatever is needed at the Pearl. And I don't even want to necessarily pretend that I know what is necessary at the Pearl, that I would also be able to let that go and let that flow. I have plans, I have ideas, I have dreams that I feel God has given me, but those are all held loosely. And I'm not going to force them into place, at least to the best of my ability. I don't want to do that. But the other thing I wanted to say, Dorette, is with with the idea of addictions, I think one of the biggest things that someone can really come to realize is even with an addiction, I'm okay. I'm okay. This isn't my, the last box checked off before I go to hell. It's not, it's not like, oh, that person's done. They're addicted. Just forget about them. No, when a person can actually come to that place and realize, I'm okay. It's oftentimes, it's like we say when a person realizes or learns to love themselves, that oftentimes what most of the world would, or the church would consider sinful behavior, a lot of that just falls away when you just recognize and realize, oh, I'm okay, I'm loved, and it's never going to stop.
I love that. Yes.
I think it opens up a new door and a new level of being able to deal with the addiction. And there's other things too that we could talk about, but not for here. But there's hope, lots of hope. Yeah. So thank you, Dorette. Deneen, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I'll backpedal. I'll talk about what Dorette said, and then I'll go back to my original thought. But as far as the addiction situation is concerned, one of the things that I actually have found to be almost absolutely the case is the lack of understanding our value and who we actually are. and having this place on the inside that feels like it has a void, and the void has not been identified as the value that we are, the true and living God, us being a part of something greater than the temporary thing that we're seeing. I for 30 years I was a mental health counselor, right? So this is something that I studied and I observed, and I spent time with people with all types of addiction. And prior to that, I was an addicted person, but I ended up getting a degree in psychology, and I spent my time giving back to people that were looking for something or trying to self-medicate. And because that was me. And so for a season of my life, I actually was getting major downloads from the Lord about that, and how all of this is the core of it is because of the lack of identity, having an identity crisis, not understanding the worth and value of oneself. So when we were talking earlier, it goes back to, for me, it goes back to that. It's like you have to give to yourself first. So when Larry was talking about deconstruction, and then you carried on about deconstruction, that's a temporary state of being. It's not wipe everything away and then just, go into this place beyond, other than appreciate what you've experienced. Like David said, it was good that I was afflicted, that I may learn God's ways. I don't find everybody's path has to be in that same pattern, but there are places in people's lives that have to be torn down in order to be built up. Like Jeremiah said, he came to tear down, uproot. He did a deconstruction thing before, because the foundation was full of stuff that needed to be removed in order, like toxicity that needed to be discarded or removed in order for the foundation to be strong, in order for it to be on a level playing space where you can build up from it without it collapsing, because you had so much junk in there that would cause it to infiltrate the new. So it's like deconstruction has its place. But my thought is that we continue from where we are, and the uprooting of everything, going back and removing, is only for the sole purpose of building, not to go back just to wallow in or to glorify or to just, have a testimony,
Right.
of boldness,
Yeah.
but for the sole purpose of identifying the root cause of where things went awry. And once we get to the root place of that, which many people never even attempt to, because it's uncomfortable, it's painful, and we've been taught to move on. We've been taught to let go without understanding what let go means. Let go is ultimately the goal, but I can't let go if I don't identify what I'm letting go. I have a fictitious, a false sense of letting go. And so it's like having a form of godliness, but denying the power, so to speak, if you want to use a scripture or whatever. And so it's like when we are moving through this restoration, this moving into the newness of who we are, it has to be with honesty, and it has to be with truth. And I have to identify you're not just the symptom. Me using drugs was a symptom of something that was much more core. There was a problem that went on. And I believe as we continue to observe our true nature, things that have happened to us, it's not going back to who God created me to be, but what happened in between that, right? What has caused me to be derailed? What has caused me to have this stinking thinking? What happened that caused me to believe the lie? Right? Something painful, uncomfortable caused me to get into a place of what of perceived safety, where I didn't have to deal with it. And so I I became, you know, addicted to drugs, addicted to sex. I'm addicted to inflated ego, addicted to, you know, protecting myself at all expense, you know, by whatever methodology I chose, you know, whether it be prejudice or bigotry, or, you know, whether it be you know, of that, like I said, the self-inflated ego, whether it be whatever. I mean, the list goes on. I can go into a depression. I can go into being an oppressor. I mean, all of those things are what we don't think are addictive behaviors, because it's outside of the realm of the perfect will of God, which is love. So anything I do outside of that, I have to check myself. I always say, before I wreck myself. So when I find myself even going into a temporary state of an illusion, I sit still, which you talked about earlier. And when I sit still, I'm able to hear the voice of God, because I've positioned myself to hear, because he's always trying to talk to us. He's always giving us direction. Whether I hear it or not is a whole nother thing, but it's not his lack that's happening. It's not because he's not doing it. It's not because he's angry with me. It's not because he's punishing me. It's because I have not positioned myself to receive the thing that he wants all of us to have. And that has been my revelation thus far in my journey. And I recognize, and I'm gonna say this and stop, because I kept thinking while I was in the field, in the professional field, I kept saying, how can we be, because you know, the Greek psychology is like the healing of the soul. How can all of these people be soul healers that don't even have a clue who they are? And that's what I kept saying, because I had plenty of colleagues that I had to minister to all the time, because they were a wreck, but they were out here attempting to help others. But what we can only give what we have. So we have a whole community of humans that are spreading toxicity to each other, because people want to hear what makes them feel good. People don't want to hear the thing that's going to heal all the time. You know, some people do, but for the most part, we have people wanting to hear the one who's going to massage their egos, to help them or pacify them or enable them. And we have that pervasive in the earth. And that's why our group is a remnant, because I believe we want more truth than we want fiction. Continuously, we've lived a fictitious life for so long. It's enough of this crap. And like my doctor, my MD told me not too long ago, when I told her I didn't take medicine, you know, pills and stuff like that. I just wanted to do it natural. And my blood pressure was like over 200. The systolic, the top one was over 200 before I got my my exam. And she said, "How's that working for you?" Right? You know, that kind of thing. So that's one thing, is all of this stuff that we did. How's that working for you? So I ended up having to take a medication that the doctors prescribed, but I only look at it as a temporary fix, because the reality is I'm doing something that is causing me to have an imbalance. And until I'm willing to be honest with myself and to actually change my behavior, then guess what? A temporary fix is sometimes the method that we have to go. Then guess what? Later on, guys, it'll be a testimony, because I'll say, it was good that I was afflicted, that I may learn God's ways, because God's way is for me to actually take care of this body a little bit better and do the things that I know to do, instead of trying to continuously feed something that I feel like God can't do. And if we can tell ourselves the truth, we all have a place in us that we feel like we can do it and God can't. And we don't say it out loud, but if we're not doing everything 100% perfect, then there's a place that we still have not surrendered and stuff. And I personally have chosen to stop lying to myself, no matter how many downloads I get, how many revelations I get, how many right choices I make. There's some places that I have not made the right choice. And when I do that, then I'm able to move my consciousness just a little bit higher. And not just do it for a minute, but do it and dwell there. Be consistent with it. Believe it to be true, and not grab hold to the thing that I've deluded myself, which keeps me stuck in a place. It keeps me stuck in a place, that because I think I've already gotten, you know, to this, you know, evolved place. But really, we're in a continuum of evolution, and having grace having grace with myself, that helps me to have grace for you, and not to judge you, and not to, all of that. It's just what I do for me, I'm able to do for others. Right. So
good. Thank you, Deneen. All right. Well, we're over our 1 o'clock, but we can go ahead and go for a little bit. We're going to go to John next, and then we'll end with Nicholas. But I would just want to remind people, if you want to, partner with the ministry, partner with the Pearl and what we're doing there, you can go to the website. There is actually a page for the Pearl. We're updating it. It needs lots of updates, but you can go there. There's a founder's circle there that if you take a look at that, there's, kind of goes over some of the different things that we're looking at doing at the Pearl. And anyway, that's a big help for us. And then just the monthly donations are also very helpful as well. That's on the website. There's a donate button on the website. And then sign up for the newsletter. If you're not signed up for the newsletter, go ahead and go to the website and sign up for the newsletter. That way you'll get the updates for things coming up and different retreats and so forth that are going on. So, all right, go ahead to John and then Nicholas, and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, I just looked up the word deconstruction through IA, and it's generally it means to break something apart so you can understand it more clearly. So example is like I used to eat deconstructed burritos because there was a problem with eating the gluten. So I would deconstruct it and throw out what wasn't working for me or damaging me. And I think we do the similar thing when we're deconstructing our beliefs too.
That's really good.
We look at all the different parts of that belief system. Why am I believing this, and why isn't it working? Why isn't this working for me anymore? And when we discover why and what isn't working, just like Deneen looking at her health situation, she's deconstructing, trying to find out what is causing this problem and deal with it in the natural way. Then that's what deconstructing really is taking all the ingredients and looking at each ingredient. Well, one of these ingredients may not be compatible with the rest of the ingredients, so that's why it's not working for your body, or if you're talking about food. And I think it's the same thing in looking at a belief system like hell. You look at you go and look at what is the real definition of hell. The real definition back in the English days was it's a covered place, a hidden place. So how did hell become a place of fire of eternal destruction?
Man-made.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So that's just what I wanted to say, that, we all need to deconstruct stuff in our lives, because if something isn't working, let's break it down and look at it and discover what God wants.
Yeah.
What is his?
So good.
Because he put us together in the first place, so he knows exactly how we supposed to function.
Yeah, and the whole deconstruction idea, most of us kind of started this path deconstructing out of Christianity, but I recognized, pretty quickly, it's like, wow, we not only need to deconstruct from our religious views, but we also need to deconstruct from pretty much everything, at least long enough to determine what are the things in it that are beneficial and what is not. And so anyway, that's what the book Breaking Your Matrix is all about. And just wanted to say, Nicholas, I think, has finished, or he's really close to finishing the voice version of the book. So it'll be out in audio, hopefully in the next week or two. And anyway, so Nicholas, go ahead, wrap us up.
Yeah, check out the book. I'm excited about the audiobook. I put my heart into it. It just, I think Gil and I agree, it makes it come to life in a way that if you're not into reading books, whether it's electronic or hard copy, get the voice version and listen to it. That's what Janine, Janine. Oh my gosh, Janine and Jeanette do when we're doing the choice book. We listen to the audio version. Anyhow, back to Deneen. When Deneen was talking about those healthcare workers that are a mess, it got me thinking. She's like, why are they working in these jobs? They don't even know what they're doing. They don't know who they are. They're crazy. And I think part of it, goes back to that survival, like Larry was talking about. We're just trying to survive, right? So we're working these jobs and these roles just to make a buck. And, society only gives us certain types of jobs that make the buck. The things that we probably really want to do, like paint pictures and stuff, you just don't get paid for. So anyhow, that's like that boundary or that context that we're living in. So why do people work there? There's survival, money. And then, so a lot of times it causes us to really have to distinguish, like, who really likes their job and who is really good at it, because I need to find those people. And so we have this mix. But I would think if we could move to that paradigm where maybe the survival and the money either wasn't an issue or it wasn't people's primary motive, people would start doing things more out of the passion that they have, and they would make a way to do the things they want to do. And if that was the case, man, the creativity that would come, you could have a higher percentage of people you could go to, whether it's for dream work or healthcare or stuff that Gil does, whatever. And it would be like, man, I got quality stuff. So going back to that third question in Gil's email is like, what old agreements fall away when union, I can't read my writing, something like that. What old agreements fall away? Maybe union becomes your starting point. And I think this agreement we have to just survive and make money. And someone mentioned even like over consumerism and how much do you need? And I turned to Jeanette and I was like, yeah, oh my gosh, if I just had a dozen eggs, that's like 2 eggs a day for like 6 days. And then if I had some pieces of meat, how much does it take to feed me? And then get a roof over my head and some heat. But really, but the agreement to survive, to make money, the egregore of it versus finding my passion and pursuing it. And so going back to what I was saying earlier, we kind of evaluate the bounds that we're living in. It's like, okay, what do I need to actually survive? And, what's the concession for this time I'm in, this paradigm I'm in it? But continue to push the envelope and say, what if I could live just a touch better? Like, what if it was like I didn't have to go to work? Or what if I didn't have to? And, well, you're crazy. Well, call me crazy, but you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. And so maybe we can dream a better world, because the world we lived in maybe 30 years ago is maybe the one we're in right now is better. And so keep projecting it forward. And again, in the now moment, we could change it in an instant. Probably at our faith level, it'll take time, this mysterious time and a storyline to get there. But if we push it, we'll hasten the day. So let's keep dreaming.
All right, Nicholas, thank you so much. And thank all of you. Love the conversation today. It's been beautiful. Keep an eye out for the next blog. It'll come out in, this week, and that will be the topic next week. And I'm open to other ideas too. If you guys have some ideas of what you want to discuss for the following week, I'm actually going to probably miss about maybe 2 to 3 weeks toward the end of December here because of traveling and being involved with the family and stuff. And so we'll figure that stuff out as a group as well. But love all of you guys. Love you. We will be here next week. I'll be here next week. And stick around, all of you who want to go into the afterburn with John and Evelyn. I think Evelyn's heading it today. Is John there with you? It looked like I saw his hand. All right, well, good. I'm glad you're there, John. We'll see you at some point, and more health and healing to you as we continue. And I think Larry and Debbie are going to help out as you guys move into the afterburn. And I will see you all next week. Love you all. Love you. Take care.
Blessings.
Right. Bye-bye.
All right.
Recording stopped.
Now I gotta find out where you started again. Record.
Recording in progress.
There we go.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Evelyn. And I want to give Deneen a moment to open up with just a reminder for your class on Monday. Deneen, if you would do that first. I was going to try